Hello again. With us today is an actress who literally can claim to have transported audiences to seventh heaven. She is also unique in being one of few persons to have portrayed her real-life parent on screen. Welcome to the lovely and talented Gloria DeHaven. And now, here's your man of the half hour, Skippy Lowe.
Gloria DeHaven, 8 years old. Started. 9? Well,
put that away.
I will. 9.
9.
Okay.
I figured
You
that.
know,
Let's get
show
this.
business. 50 years? That's a long time.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's actually, we're cheating a little bit. You want to know the truth? Because I started, it's a little over 50. It's 50, maybe 54 years, something like that, yeah.
family, vaudeville.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't work with the family.
You didn't?
No, my brother and sister did. My mom and dad were, of course, vaudevillians, Mr.
Right.
and Mrs. Carter DeHaven. But my mom retired when she got this far with me in the tummy, and that was the last one because she, at that time, I mean, today it's not so odd to hear about it, but
Yes.
my mom was 43 years old, 42 years old when I was born. And in those days, you didn't have a child really at 42 years old, you know.
Right.
It's the biological clock business that's happening right now. It was very rare to do that. So she did retire when I was born, but there were 12 years difference in my brother and myself, and 11 with my sister.
How many children?
There were 3.
3.
A brother, sister, and myself. And I was the baby.
Uh-huh.
And as I say, my brother was 12 years older, my sister was 11 years older.
Right.
So there was a big span. You know.
Modern times.
Oh,
Charlie Chaplin. Tell
What
me.
a joy.
You were
that
8
was.
or 9?
9.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was kidding
Yeah,
about that.
of course.
It was such a kick because I hadn't started in the business yet. That's why I lovingly say I started in silent films, you know, because but this was really an accident. My dad was co-directing, assistant directing, and co-directing some of the shots
Right.
of the Chaplin film Modern Times. And he and Charlie Chaplin were very, very close friends. And I used to go over to the house with my father. He was married to Paulette Goddard, who was the star of the film. And I used to go over to the house and watch Mr. Chaplin play tennis and everything. He was so handsome. You just don't know how great-looking Charlie Chaplin was. Forget the little tramp. I mean, he was really a sensual, a sexy, good-looking, charming man.
But elegant.
And elegant.
Yes.
And he could do everything, as you well know. I mean, he used to play the piano for us. He did just everything in the world was wonderful. But one day I came to visit my dad on the set, and they needed 2 little girls to be in a shot with Paulette Goddard.
Right.
I'm supposed to be running away from, they're going to put us in an orphanage and we're running away and all of this. And all we had to do were great big takes, you know, like going, and all of these things. And they sent us down to Western costume. Mr. Chaplin said, they're perfect. I came with a schoolmate. And he said, perfect, send us down to Western costume. He said, get as dirty as you like to get, and all you have to do is eat bananas and run around. I thought, if this is show business, I'm definitely in, you know, so that was it. That was the actual,
Best
really the beginning.
foot forward.
Now, that
Put
was
that
the first,
foot out.
There you
I was
go.
out there. I was there.
You were
8
at
years
MGM at that
yes,
time?
I was 8, I think 8 or 9 years old. I was in that film. That was my first, very, very first film. I was 8 or 9.
My first musical.
I was one of the cadets at 10 years
Do
old.
you know
maybe,
that
10
Robert
years old.
Wagner came in to see the show the other night?
I had a surprise. That's why I
And
was
as
amazed.
long as I've known him, you know, I've known him ever and ever and ever, he turned to me and he said, you did the things from Best, you never mentioned that I was in Best Foot Forward. And I said, oh, come on. He said, I really was. And I said, what? I mean, you were, he said, I was going to Black Fox, and he said they used some of
the military. Yes, they did. That's right.
It was in Best Foot. I nearly died. I never knew that. But you were too.
But
Now I'm really getting a
that
family.
was your very first big
musical
break.
Yes, and it was that was the contract break. Yes.
The contract, MGM.
Yes. I had done bit parts in
Right.
black and white films
Right.
and some small little things prior to that, but the contract started with Best Foot Forward.
But the small in parts you did with Greta Garbo.
Oh, yes, but
tell
I
me
had
about
one
that.
line. I had one line in a powder room. It was a funny sequence. So George Cukor had known who my parents were and wanted someone to do this little bit. And I had worked on Susan and God with him. And when this bit came up, he said, I want to use Gloria, because he said, this is so funny. And the scene takes place in a powder room, and Constance Bennett is supposed to come in the powder room I didn't work with Garbo, unfortunately, but very upset about the fact that that Garbo's so gorgeous and she's maybe aging a little bit,
Yes.
Constance Bennett, in the scene. And she walks in, and as she walks in the powder room, there's a girl, myself, who was about 15, I guess, looking in the mirror and saying, "Oh, just look at me. I'm absolutely, look at this." And all that Connie Bennett does is she walks in and goes, "Ah!" You know, when she sees this, and that was the scene. Yeah. But it was great fun. But I didn't get to her. I can only say I was in a Garbo film. I didn't see
Then what
her.
happened after Best Foot Forward? I mean,
Bestwood was just a series of films. You know better. Skip how many movies we made in a year that was not like it is now.
MGM.
You could make 5 movies, 6 movies in 1 year, you know. So I went on and did lots and lots of
they
films.
put you under contract immediately.
Yes, yes.
Did you go to school, studied? You
No,
didn't
I
have
had
to, did
I
you?
graduated at, I had my 17, I graduated at 17, and I fibbed at MGM because in order to get the role, I had to have been 18 and I was going to be 18 only a matter of 3 months later,
Yes.
and I thought for 3 months I'm going to fib because they would have had to have a teacher on the set, and they did not want a teacher on the set.
Did you go
All
to
the rest of
HPS?
them.
Did you go to HPS?
No, I went to Marquette. Yeah, on Franklin Avenue. Do you know Marquette?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yes,
Mitzi Gaynor.
because I went to
Mitzi Gaynor and I were
HPS.
talking
I
about
went to
the other day.
HPS
We
for
all,
2 years.
a lot of us went there.
Grew up in Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Born and raised. And
A lot of people didn't think this.
was born in Good Samaritan Hospital, downtown LA, yeah. Good
So you really know this town.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure, this is home. Although I'm being a bit disloyal because, as you know, we discussed it, spec before the show, just personal things. I live in New York now. I live in New York City. And that's a wonderful town to live
a great
in, too.
city.
So I'm torn.
You're having a good time then.
Oh, wonderful. But I come back and forth. I have 3 children here and a grandchild and 1 son in New York. So I'm back and forth all the time. And I work here.
Married
yeah.
once? Or
No, I was married 3 times.
3 times?
Yes.
To anyone? Tell me some of your...
First marriage was John Payne,
John.
very, very
Great
famous
20th
actor.
Century Fox.
Right. And I was 19 when I
He's
married
doing
John.
furniture right now. Isn't he something with furniture? Or is that...
No. That's George
I know,
Montgomery.
George Montgomery.
Dinah
Why
Shore-
do I get confused?
Dinah Shore's ex-husband.
I get confused
George
with
Montgomery.
those two.
He's very, very successful, as a matter of fact,
Is
in the
he?
furniture. Oh, yes. Very successful. Has been for years in the furniture business. No, John doesn't work now. He lives in Malibu, and he writes. He's doing a lot of writing and things like that. But he looks wonderful. He looks like the old man of the sea. He's got this wonderful white hair now. It's like yours, and kind of a beard, and you know, that wonderful craggy kind of a face. Anyway, he looks terrific.
And
He should be
children?
working. Pardon?
You had children?
Oh, yes, we had 2,
Two.
a boy and a girl. My eldest, Kathleen, whose nickname is Clancy. And then I have a son, Thomas John. By the way, John Payne is a descendant of Thomas Paine, of that family.
Really?
Yes, and they changed the spelling years and years later down the line. It was P-A-I-N-E, and it was finally changed to P-A-Y-N-E, not John, but I mean, generations
You did
did
movies
it.
together, didn't you?
No, never worked
did a
together.
movie with John?
Never worked together.
He was at 20th, and you were at MGM.
Yes, I worked at 20th. I did 2 films there, but not with John. I did one with June Haver, I'll Get By,
Great.
and then Down Among the Sheltering Palms with Mitzi
Gordon
Gaynor.
McRae, was that I'll Get By? Was that Gordon?
I'll Get By was Dennis Day
Dennis
and
Day.
Bill Lundigan and June Haver, yeah. And then I did Down Among the Sheltering Palms there. too.
35 films, would you say?
No, I've done just close to 30.
30 movies? Musicals mostly?
Yes, until the Louis B. Mayer era ended when he passed away and Dory Shari came in as head of MGM. He allowed some of us who had wanted to do straight roles. And Mr. Mayer felt that if you did something well, don't rock the boat. He didn't want anybody to change what they were successful doing, you know. But Shari did give some of us opportunities to do some straight roles. And I did The Doctor and the Girl, which was with Glenn Ford, a very serious role for me that started my getting into more serious things. Then at the end of the contract, when the contract was finished, the 7 years, I went and worked lots of different studios. But that was the end, really the end of the musical era. You know,
MGM was a great studio those days. The commissary used to go.
Well, it was fabulous. It wasn't just the commissary. I mean, today I feel so sorry because I have, as I said, 4 children, but the only one I have in the family that is my youngest boy, who's 30, and he was just 30, and he's as an actor, but he's also at NYU now.
Is he an actor?
Yes, but he's at NYU doing, is at film school, studying directing and producing and all of that, which is what he ultimately would really like to do. But he is an actor. But he's the only one. The others aren't in the business. I have a girl, 26, who's in the beauty field. My eldest son, Tom, who's 41, is in furniture, as a matter of fact. He's a Finnish carpenter, fine carpentry work. And my eldest daughter is married and not in the business at all. So, and she's 40. She was just 43.
You seem very happy, Gloria, living in New York.
I am.
And
I
you're
have
here
I have the
working-
best of all worlds. I
Yes, you
really
do. You're here in Hollywood at the Roosevelt Hotel right now,
I am.
performing.
I am, and loving it.
And
Loving it.
2-week engagement here, and
Yes.
I understand all your friends were there.
Oh, it's
what
been
a turnout.
terrific, I tell you.
I love this
Oh,
turnout.
it's so nice.
Look at this
Isn't
turnout.
that nice? I love it.
That
It's
is
lovely. This is Betty White.
Uh-huh.
If we're going in the right direction.
Right.
That's Lucille Ball,
Uh-huh.
myself, Esther Williams, and Betty White, or the other way around, however
But
we're...
what a turnout you had at the Roosevelt
It was
Hotel.
wonderful.
Who were some of the people who actually
Oh,
really, I mean, you
God.
had...
Well, I just, it's so difficult. I mean, I had all of the people of that era. I mean, with these ladies, of course.
Did Dorothy Lamour show up?
Dorothy Lamour had, unfortunately, had that nasty flu.
Uh-huh.
And she was so cute. She called, she's coming in, she'll be in one of these
Uh-huh.
last nights. She called up and she said, I was so afraid to come near you. She said, you're singing, and if I breathe, she said, oh, you know, I don't want to give you a cold. So
Red Button said the nicest thing he wrote. There was an article in Robert Osborne's column, I think, or
Army, I
Archer.
think. It was an Army, yes.
He said one of the finest performers he hasn't seen in years brought to
Well,
Hollywood.
It's so interesting, and I love, and I will publicly thank
Uh-huh.
Red Buttons and a gal named Kitty Callan, if you remember.
Kitty Callan, a wonderful singer.
Who have been so delightful with that. They're like press agents. They're so cute. They've been out. Red has, he said, I've known you for over 30 years. He said, I've seen you perform. He said, we've worked together, which we have. We've worked, I've sang, I've done singing things with Red. He said, but something has happened. The maturity, he said, the voice quality, you, the person you are. He said, there's just, and I said, well, maybe this is wonderful. This is a part of my life that you're talking about. It's a wonderful time now. I'm a woman. I'm not a girl anymore.
That's right.
And I'm a mature woman.
Exactly.
And I like where I am. I like what I'm doing. I want to play those kind of
And
roles now.
it shows on stage.
Does it?
Yes, it really does.
Good,
It shows that you
good.
are very content and very happy what you are. You
Well, I have tantrums now and again. I mean, we all go, once in a while.
You only have a pianist, and the piano player
Only
is
the
wonderful.
best, William Roy. You don't need any more
no,
with
you
William
don't.
Roy.
No.
Plus, I felt that what I wanted to do, which had to do with the acting, Skip,
Uh-huh.
it really did. I wanted people to see the way I am today and the way I feel today and where my head is today, which is, I want mature roles. I'm really not out for that old image. It was wonderful when I was there, but it's not. I'm not there anymore. I want dramatic roles. I want comedy, but I want to play the woman I am, a 63-year-old woman who's enjoying life, like the Golden Girls. What's wrong with
Right,
that? It's terrific,
exactly,
you know.
exactly.
And this has been so good for me because Billy alone, just having Billy on the stage, it's just us, and we work off one another and play. And I do some very serious songs. I do some dramatic moments up there, as you saw the show. Then there's comedy, and then the things I did with Mickey Rooney that were duet type songs. He has a wonderful voice, William Roy, so he does those with me, and we do the harmonies. So we're able to go touch kind of all bases, and I do some comedy. I talk and do some comedy.
You seem very spiritual, Gloria.
How did you know that?
I'm looking at your eyes and the way you're expressing yourself.
That's so nice.
You are
yes,
spiritual, yes.
Very, very.
What is
Very.
Gloria DeHaven's day like in New York and Manhattan? When she gets up in the morning, what is her day
Well,
like?
I rise earlier, oddly enough, than I would ever imagined that you would rise in New York City. But something is always going on there. And I have a little, who's sitting right over there, I have a little 10-pound mutt, Humane Society adoption that I've had for 9 years.
Take it for a walk.
And we go to the park. I walk a lot in New York. It's
too.
wonderful.
Love it.
Reebok City. We walk all over the place. You know? It's wonderful. I do a lot of walking. And then there's never a boring, if you don't have lunch to go to, or you don't have an interview that you're going on, or you're not working, there are so many things to do during the day. There are museums, and you can walk to them. I mean, you don't need to drive your car. You know, there are museums. There are screenings. There are fashion things. There are intellectually, it's wonderful, but also, you know what is the best? Now I'm going to tell you the best about New York. And it's a sad thing that you can't do it here. You bump into people in New York. Here you can't bump into anyone unless you hit them with your car or something. I mean, you may bump them.
Communication.
I mean,
right.
I can be running down the street,
Don't know who they
looking
are.
at my watch
Right.
and thinking, I have to be on 57th and so in 10 minutes, and someone will say, hi, how are you? Do you have time for coffee? And I'll say, yeah, I've got 10 minutes. Let's do it. And you do it. You go and have coffee.
yes.
You don't say, let's have lunch and never
everything's
see
lunch here.
anybody, you know. You do it in New York. And people say, well, look, I'll be out of the interview. Can you wait? I'll be out in 20 minutes. Someone waits and you go and have something to eat. And there's action all the time, something going on, you know. It's
Gloria,
terrific.
you even travel a lot? You've been to Australia?
Yes, I do. I travel a lot. But just this last few years, I haven't traveled quite as much. Last 2 years, I've been traveling a lot. But prior to that, I was on a soap for 4 years, Ryan's Hope.
Ryan's.
And that was limiting. I couldn't leave town. The show didn't
Did you enjoy
permit it.
doing that?
I loved it.
Did you really?
I had done another one in the 60s. I did As the World Turns in the 60s. I like soap opera. It's very, very, it's discipline. It's fast. You have to, you better know your words and come in there and do it because there isn't a great deal of rehearsal. You know, it takes a pro, I think. I admire the young people that do the shows.
I see.
I think they're very, very good and very gifted.
I understand that they're going to be honoring you.
Yes.
Film
Isn't
League
that lovely?
Welfare.
The Film League Welfare.
It's going to be honoring you at the
the
end of-
Entertainer of the Year. I'm so.
Entertainer
How
of
do you
the
like
Year.
that?
Isn't that lovely? Well, you deserve it, dear. You deserve it.
Thank you.
You
Thank
know,
you.
if anyone who's been in the business as long as you have,
And I'm still going.
that's right.
And I'm still here. And I'm going to keep going. Oh, yeah. I love
And
it.
also there's a thing at the FM radio. I mean, is it the recording company is going to
Yes,
be doing?
they're honoring Charlie
Charlie
Chaplin.
Chaplin, April the 16th.
Yes, and I'm going to be there presenting some kind of an award. I'm not sure exactly, but the point is they're bringing in the fact that I did that movie with Charlie Chaplin. when
Modern
I-
Times.
Yes, 9
That's
years
a
old.
100th anniversary, isn't it?
It's wonderful. Oh, I'm so excited because anything to do with Mr. Chaplin is Charlie Chaplin. I'm still in awe of that man.
And
always will be.
you'll be going to with June Ellison in Washington D.C.
Yes, we're going to do an MGM promo. We're traveling together. We'll be in Washington. We're doing a promotion for MGM. And then we leave also. Then from there we go to Florida. And we're going to, I love traveling with her because we're like sisters. It's like really is two girls and a sailor.
Busy.
But we're going to be at the very important affair. Sophia Loren is
The AIDS.
The AIDS, children with AIDS benefit.
Children with AIDS.
Yes, yes. Very
You're into
important.
that.
Oh,
for helping.
of course,
you,
of course.
You help a lot of people, Gloria.
I try. I really try. And animals. Children and animals are my major causes, yes.
So you'll be going with Sophia Loren?
She's hosting, it's in the town in, I think it's called Williams, I'm not sure, Florida, where she lives. It's just outside of Miami. And Regine is giving a party for her the night before. Then on the 31st is the big, big benefit show. And June and I are going to be singing and performing together for the AIDS benefit.
I'd make March and Joan Crawford in this. Let's get back with Susan and Gods. Tell me about that.
That was great. That was such a
Perfect
thrill.
March. A lot of people didn't know that you were in that film.
Oh, yes. I played the Joan Crawford's daughter's little, oh, God, the thorn in her side, the little one that was going to take her boyfriend away from her, because she played a little plain Jane, and then, of course, Crawford gets a hold of her and fixes her off and say, that one's not going to outdo you. We'll, you know, we'll fix you up. But it was one of the nicest stories when all the hoopla happened about the Joan Crawford book.
Yes.
We've had many since books.
I've interviewed Christina, and
Well, I have to say this. I mean, had you not brought it up, I wouldn't. But there are always two sides to a story.
True.
Joan Crawford was not alive and could not defend herself.
They
And
always
no
say
matter,
that. That's
and
true.
no matter what Christina, and I'm not denying
No, I
that
understand.
much of this may have happened, and probably did. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm only saying that I wish there'd been some of the good things about Joan Crawford mentioned in that book, because as far as I'm concerned, it was the beginning of, she helped me so in my career. I came on the set, and I only had a couple of maybe a week's work on it, or 2 weeks' work, and that was very little in the movies in those days. And she came up to me. I mean, I would never have spoken to her. We were in a scene, but I wouldn't.
Right.
She came up to me and she said she knew who my parents were. She was well informed about vaudeville days. She had been in that period, as you know. And she said, would you like to have lunch with me? And my teeth, you know, practically. I mean, I walked around for days with my mouth. Someone had to close my mouth. And I thought we were going to go to the commissary. And I thought, wow, I'm going to get into the green room. Because we didn't get to eat in the main room where the big stars were, you know. I thought, I'm going to go to the commissary and ogle all the stars. I was so excited. And she said, how about tomorrow? And I said, wonderful. I didn't sleep all night. Came to work, and lunchtime came. and I'm ready to go to the commissary, and she beckoned her maid in, and a wonderful basket came with, I remember, roast chicken and all fruits and cheeses and wonderful bread and things, and we went into her dressing room,
Yes.
and we had lunch. I never regretted ever going to the commissary that particular time. I went later, obviously, but because in 1 hour, she taught me more than any teacher I could have ever had. She said, the main thing that I remember, she said, you should lower your voice, your speaking voice. And I said, how? I mean, why does one, and how would, I was dumbfounded. She said, well, just speak aloud at home, wherever you are, use your voice.
Yes.
She said, read everything aloud and lower it and lower it and lower it. And I said, well, how do I do that? She said, well, start up with your normal voice, then take it a step down.
Right.
As if you were saying, hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there, till you can finally do it no more. And I said, well, what'll I read? She said, the phone book. It doesn't matter. She said, just keep doing it. I did that. And it really improved my singing voice. It improved my speaking voice.
Really?
Yes, I had a much higher pitched little girl voice, I guess, you know. And, oh, she was so wonderful to me. And years after, anytime she saw me, I remember being in a restaurant many years later in New York, and she made a point of coming across. I saw her, and I would have gone to her, but before I could go to her, she came across the room and said, I told you were going to, something was going to happen to you. And she said, look what's happened. She said, isn't it terrific? And she was wonderful. So I like somebody out there to hear that there was a good thing about Joan Crawford. Everything that was
Great
mentioned.
actress. Great
She was
actress.
a wonderful
actress.
Terrific.
Gloria DeHaven, tell me something. Book? How about a book?
No.
I heard you. You said you were not going to
Well,
do...
no, I'll tell you, that's sort
You
of,
know.
that's not exactly true. I am working on something. I am not sure what I really haven't made the final decision about
Yes.
it. I said to someone who asked me about writing a book, in fact, a gentleman that wanted to work with me, I said, I have to make up my mind whether I want people flipping through the pages of my life. And he said, I want to write that down. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, I just said
That's a
that.
good
'cause
title.
I know, but I just said it because that's how I really feel.
I like that
I'm
title.
not,
Flipping pages
no,
through
I
my
have,
life.
I have a title protected.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
What is
and
it?
it's a
May I
sweet
ask?
story. I tell it at the Cinegrill, as a matter of fact. Well, when my eldest daughter was about 3, she used to say her little prayers on her knees, you know, with her little hands like that on the bed, and she'd say, and very seriously, I didn't correct her for a long time because I loved it so much. She'd say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Hollywood.
And she thought that's what it was. So that's the title of the book, Hallowed be thy name.
Hollywood be
But,
thy name.
and
That's-
I've started it. I started. I'm just not so sure. I don't know. I don't want to do fully a kiss and tell book. I don't feel that way. I don't want to do that. It would start before I was born, actually. It would start with my parents and about vaudeville. Then it would start with my career, and then it would involve people in
You have
my
some
life.
wonderful memories about your
Oh,
parents.
sure
don't
I
you,
do.
Gloria?
Wonderful. Absolutely.
Tell me something. Some of the famous, who are some of the great stars you worked with, like
Well,
men stars, that some of the best you've felt?
I worked with some terrific
I know
actors.
you
I
have.
really did. I mean, you're speaking
Who were
of
your
Frederick
favorites?
March.
Who are your favorites?
I can't say that because I had favorites for different reasons. You know, a man like just doing that 5 minutes in 3 Little Words, working with Fred Astaire was awesome. I adored it. You know, Red Skelton I made a film with. I did the
Yes.
Yellow,
Tell me
Yellow
about Red.
Cabman.
He is-
But I worked with Gene Kelly. I worked with Glenn Ford. I worked with Donald O'Connor. I worked
John
with
was
William
another one.
Powell. I did the Thin Men's pictures. You know, I worked with. I mean, you talk about character people. I worked with Lionel Barrymore. I worked with Frank Morgan. I worked with Walter Houston. I worked with Mickey Rooney. I mean,
Gloria DeHaven has worked with
On and
the
on.
stars in this town.
and haven't even
Really?
mentioned the ladies yet.
Yeah.
So you know, it was pretty
Yeah,
terrific.
yeah.
Judy wasn't bad. Garland wasn't bad.
Tell me about Judy Garland.
Oh,
What kind of a
funniest,
girl?
dearest, warmest, wonderful lady in the whole wide world. Hysterically funny lady.
Was she?
Yeah, with all the tragedy.
Well, when
that
did she become
was in her.
tragic? And later in life, Gloria?
Funny to say it that way. When did she become tragic?
Well,
That's like,
sad, you know, something, pain, a lot of
pain,
pain.
pain.
Okay.
I think the pain came in her more maturing years when there was a battle with the bottle. We all know it. It's not a secret. And pills, and they took over a part of her that wasn't really Judy. And when she was not taking the pills and not drinking, this was the most open, joyous, happy woman. But if she'd get a little bit sad, a little bit depressed, or if something happened in her personal life, it usually didn't happen with career.
It's always personal.
Yes, her
always.
personal life. Then she would dissolve into depression.
Was she
and
happy
would
when
go
she
to
was
pills.
married? Every time she's had to be married to be happy. Didn't seem like it.
Well, don't you understand? Why do you think you mentioned I was married 3 times?
Yes.
Why they don't do it today? People live with people.
Yes.
We didn't do that.
I know.
If you were going to be with someone, you got married.
Yes, yes.
And
That's
on
why
top
it's
of
3
it, you had
times.
children,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And I always thought the first marriage was going to be the only one and ever one in my life. It didn't work out that way. Second marriage, I was hoping for that too.
Yeah.
And the third marriage. But I think with Judy, that was a simple thing. She did enjoy being with. I do too, except that, you know how long I've been single? I've been single for over 20 years. Over 20 years. I married in the younger years, and that's all behind me now. It's not that I wouldn't want to be with someone and love companionship, but I'm able to function alone now. Those things didn't have, younger years, we weren't like that. We needed a support system, a husband, a parent, relatives. We needed people around. We were not able as much to stand on your own, and we had a studio supporting you. I mean,
right.
you were blanketed and protected.
Family, a
you weren't
family.
out there so vulnerable.
Yes.
And when all of that left Judy, you know, that's when I think she got frightened and she got scared, you know, and those things, it was tough to take.
Yeah.
And thank heaven, I thank God every day that
You never get into.
I'm
You never. Never.
I don't know why. It was around me, and I'm not a boring person. It's not that I mean, I have my wine. I love to drink wine, and I love.
But you had
I
it
love a
controlled.
party.
You had it controlled.
I just never was interested in it. I was never interested in heavy booze, and I'm not a pill taker. I just never was, you know. I think, as I say, I thank God every day for that, but it's not something that I was trying to be, you know, Miss Pure, and I didn't believe.
I understand.
It wasn't that at all. It just, I felt I had a high of my own. I never really needed it.
Gloria.
I still have it.
Gloria DeHaven. We need someone in our lives. We need some companionship.
Sure I do, but you see, I'm
do you
fortunate. I have my
do you have?
children.
I understand that.
And I
but
do have
you're a
people.
young lady.
I have a support
You're-
system. Of
you
course
do.
I do.
You
I have one
you
lady
have-
that happens to be sitting right here today.
No, but do you have a man in your life right now,
That,
Gloria?
yes, I do. I have male
do?
friends. You bet I do.
That's
and they're
right.
wonderful.
Yep.
But one can count those, and they're lucky on
Yes.
one hand. And I'd say I have 3 people in my life that I adore, that I go out with, and that are very, very important in my life, of course. But I also like what I have, this independence I like. I really do. I like it. I'm not frightened. I'm not
So you know
lonely.
yourself. You know.
I'm
yes.
not lonely.
Yes, yes.
You know.
You appreciate yourself.
I can be sometimes
Yeah.
alone, and that, you know, you can say, oh, gee, I wish someone were
Yeah.
here. That's different. But I'm not lonely.
Lee. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Manhattan
difference.
is great, though. You can. I
That's
adore.
part of it, I think, yes.
I understand you're going to be moving out to California, though. Is
Well,
that
I'm going
true?
to be sharing time now, I think, because I have some things brewing here that will keep me here a lot more than I had, than I had expected. So I think, yes, I'm going to be I'm going to be bi-coastal is what I'm going to
You are going to do bicoastal.